The silence of Rose. Mike was a happy man. He liked to laugh and make jokes. He smiled every day. His heart was full of life. Everyone liked Mike because he was fun. One day Mike met a woman named Rose. Rose was quiet and kind. She liked books, flowers, and long walks. Mike liked her smile. She liked his jokes. They were very different, but they felt happy together. Soon they got married. It was a small wedding. They didn't have much money, but they had love. Their home was small but full of joy. They talked every day. They laughed a lot. Life was simple and sweet. Mike told funny stories. Rose made hot tea. They watched the rain from the window. They held hands. They smiled. They were in love. But slowly things started to change. Not fast, but little by little. Small fights began. Small words turned cold. The house was still the same, but the air felt different. Rose started to talk less. She smiled less. She sat alone more. Mike noticed this, but he didn't say much. He thought it was just a phase. He still made jokes, but Rose didn't laugh like before. Mike tried to stay happy. He still made jokes. He still smiled, but inside he started to feel different. Something was missing. He looked at Rose and saw her quiet face. She didn't speak much. She didn't laugh. She looked far away even when she sat beside him. Mike asked, "Are you okay?" Rose said, "I'm fine," but her eyes were not fine. Her voice was low. Her heart was far. Mike felt alone. He was in the same room with his wife, but he felt like he was by himself. He missed her voice. He missed her smile. He missed the Rose he married. Some days they didn't talk at all. Mike tried to break the silence with jokes, but Rose just looked down. She cleaned the house. She made dinner. She did everything, but without words, without feeling. One evening, Mike came home from work. He was tired and angry. There was no hello, no smile. Rose put the food on the table and walked away. Mike sat down. He looked at the food, then he looked at her. "Why don't you talk to me?" he said. Rose didn't answer. She washed the dishes. Mike stood up. "Say something," he shouted. His voice was loud. His hands shook. "I come home every day. I try to be happy. But you give me nothing." "Nothing." Rose stopped. Her hands were wet from the water. She looked at him, quiet and still. Her eyes were big. She said nothing. The room was cold and full of silence. Mike's heart beat fast. His face was red. He didn't know what to do. He sat down again. He put his head in his hands. He felt tired. He felt sad. And Rose, she stood there. Her silence was louder than any word. The next morning the house was very quiet. Mike woke up early. He looked at Rose. She was already awake. She was sitting near the window. She looked outside, not saying a word. Mike didn't know what to say. He wanted to say sorry, but the words stayed inside. He went to the kitchen and made tea. He put a cup on the table for Rose. She looked at the cup. She gave a small nod, but still no words. Mike sat down. He looked at her. She looked tired, not just in her face, but in her heart. All day they stayed in the house. Mike cleaned the living room. Rose folded clothes. They walked around each other, quiet like shadows. Sometimes they looked at each other, but quickly turned away. It was like they were strangers now, not husband and wife. That night, Mike sat on the couch. He watched old videos on his phone. Videos of him and Rose, laughing, dancing, holding hands. He smiled at the memories, but soon his smile turned into tears. He missed those days. He missed her voice. He missed her love. He stood up and walked to Rose. She was sitting in the bedroom, reading a book, her face calm but far away. Mike sat next to her. "I don't know what's happening to us," he said. "I feel like I'm losing you." Rose closed the book slowly. She looked at him. Her eyes were full of feelings, but still she didn't speak. Mike held her hand. "Please say something," he whispered. Rose looked down. After a long moment, she said quietly, "I don't know what to say." Her voice was soft, like a breeze. "Everything feels heavy. I don't feel like myself anymore." Mike nodded. His heart felt heavy too. "Then let's fix it. Together," he said. Rose looked into his eyes. For the first time in many days they shared a moment. Small, quiet, but real. The next few days were quiet but not angry. Mike and Rose tried to be gentle. Mike made breakfast. Rose said thank you. It was a small word, but it felt big. Mike smiled. That one word gave him hope. They started to talk again, but only a little. Short words, simple things. "How was your day? Do you want tea?" "I will wash the dishes." It was not like before, but it was better than silence. Mike wanted more, but he didn't push. One night they went for a walk. The air was cool. The sky was full of stars. They walked side by side. They didn't say much, but their hands touched for a moment. Mike looked at Rose. She looked at him and gave a small smile. His heart felt warm. "Do you remember our first walk together?" Mike asked. Rose nodded. "You told a joke about cats and trees," she said. Mike laughed. "It was a bad joke," he said. Rose laughed too. The sound was soft, but it was real. Mike hadn't heard her laugh in weeks. They walked slowly. Mike talked about old memories. Rose listened. Sometimes she added a few words. Her voice was still quiet, but she was there, with him, not far away in her mind. That night, back at home, they sat on the floor. No phone, no TV, just each other. Mike looked at Rose. "I missed you," he said. Rose looked at him. "I missed me too," she said. Mike didn't understand at first. "What do you mean?" Rose looked down. "I stopped talking. I stopped feeling. I thought being quiet was better. But it hurt me. And it hurt you too." Mike felt tears in his eyes. "I got angry. I shouted. I was scared," he said. "I thought I lost you." Rose held his hand. "We're still here," she said. "But we have to listen. And we have to talk." That night they didn't say much, but their hearts were open, and that was a start. The next morning the sun was shining. Rose made breakfast. Mike helped her. They didn't talk much, but they smiled. The kitchen felt warm again. Mike went to work. Before leaving, he looked at Rose. "Have a good day," he said. Rose looked at him and said, "You too." It was a simple moment, but it felt special. At work, Mike thought about Rose. He didn't feel angry today. He felt calm. He wanted to go home and talk to her more, not about big things, just about their day, their thoughts, their life. That evening they sat together again. They talked a little more than before. Rose looked more alive. Mike looked more at peace. Something small had changed, but it was a good change. Days passed slowly, but each day Rose spoke a little more. Mike listened more. The house was still quiet, but not cold. It felt safe. They didn't fix everything at once. Some days were hard. Some nights were silent, but they tried, together. Mike was not as loud as before. Rose was not as quiet. They met in the middle, with care, with love. One evening they laughed again. It was a big laugh, a real one. Mike looked at Rose. She was smiling with bright eyes. He knew now. Silence is not always peace, and words, even small ones, can heal a heart.